Let's welcome Senior Fellow, Unleash Prosperity and Chief Economist, Heritage Foundation, E.J. Antoni, and Senior Research Fellow for the American Institute for Economic Research, Dave Hebert. Gentlemen, great to see you. E.J., what were your thoughts on not only the president's remarks about the chairman being a stupid person, but the decision to stay put with interest rates this week?
Well, I'm not sure if the best descriptor of Powell is stupid, but it's certainly political. In other words, if you look at all of the data that Jerome Powell says he uses to make his decision, that data provides much, much stronger of a case for interest rate cuts today than it did back in the fall, right around the election, except it was right before the election that Jerome Powell and the Fed delivered an emergency 0.5 percentage point interest rate cut, and that was because they were trying to get their preferred candidate across the finish line. That didn't work. And their animosity for President Trump continues to this day. Again, the evidence that Jerome Powell says he looks at says there's more of a case for an interest rate cut today, except they're not cutting today. They're holding them steady. If the numbers aren't what their motivation is, then the only thing left can be politics.
Well, Dave, that's what I was thinking, by the way, EJ. And Dave, President Trump was not done with Powell because he posted on Truth Social, "Too late, Jerome Powell is costing our country hundreds of billions of dollars. He truly is one of the dumbest and most destructive people in government, and the Fed board is complicit." Do you agree that he's making bad decisions, and is this all about politics, Dave?
So I don't know that this is all about politics, but it might all be about optics. The Federal Reserve is, by its charter, supposed to be independent of the executive branch. The Federal Reserve is supposed to do the right thing monetary policy-wise, regardless of what the president wants them to do. This is an important feature of our central bank system. And Jerome Powell has made no bones about saying that he is independent of President Trump. My concern, though, is that perhaps Jerome Powell is more concerned with looking like he's independent and is delaying cuts in the interest rate in order to prevent others from saying that he is bowing down or listening to President Trump. If that's the case, the best thing that President Trump could do would be to just completely ignore the Fed and let Jerome Powell do what he's going to do. If that's going to be the case, we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, EJ, just a short time ago, the president posted on Truth Social again, and he wrote, "I hate green tax credits in the great big beautiful bill. They are largely a scam. I would much prefer that this money be used somewhere else, including reductions. Anywhere would be preferable." Can you explain what the president's talking about here?
Well, certainly. The Democrats in the Inflation Reduction Act and in other pieces of legislation, they push tons and tons of taxpayer dollars towards these so-called green energy tax credits. So whether that's for solar or wind or any other kind of net energy loser, we have all of this taxpayer money that is going to these different projects, and they're complete waste. So what the president is getting at here is something that we at Unleash Prosperity and the Heritage Foundation have been hammering on since the big, beautiful bill got started, which is that all of these things should be repealed, and they should be repealed immediately. This whole idea that somehow we're going to cut off the tax credits, but only 4 or 5 or 6 years down the road, that makes absolutely no sense. Look, these things are wasting taxpayer dollars today, so we should end them today. There's no reason to wait until President Trump is already out of office, for crying out loud, before we're going to stop this kind of waste and abuse in the federal budget.
Well, there's a lot more to discuss, but unfortunately we ran out of time. I'm sorry, Dave, we can get back to you. EJ, appreciate your expertise. Thank you both for being here.